Hey, what's up guys, it's Grape here. Here to do my post-commentary for my Season 4 Week 1 match against Joey and the Minnesota Eon Twins. And as you can see, we brought the Sylveon, the Crocodile, Mismagius, Electros, Arcanine, and Tentacruel. And he brought the Granbull, Victini, Vaporeon, Hydreigon, Donphan, and Crobat. Now the first thing I noticed when I saw his team is that he did not bring the Scissor, which was pretty amazing because it would have been hard to deal with. And he also didn't bring the Porygon 2, which I was kind of worried about because I didn't bring Conkeldurr this week. Alright, let's get into it. Alright, so I decided to lead off with my Sylveon. He led off with his Crobat. And I figured he was going to go for U-turn because it's too risky, just go for like Brave Bird for off the bat. And he did, because I could have been carrying like Side Shock or something, could have been Specs too. But I wasn't, I was actually a Light Clay. And knowing he'd switch into something physical like Victini, I set up the Reflect. So Recreate wouldn't be able to do much to me. So I decided to switch out into my Crocodile so I can get that Intimidate off, which is good because this is going to do nothing to me. He goes with a Power Up Punch, which is a weird set, I wasn't really expecting that. So then I had trouble deciding, do I want to go for Stealth Rocks right now, or if I just go for the Pursuit. And ultimately I decided to go for the Pursuit because I figured he would try and U-turn out because there's no way he'd want to stay in against this. Get some damage off on that. So I pursued him, and it does really good damage. Then he goes into his Granbull, which obviously gets the Intimidate off. And I thought he would either go for a T-Wave or like an Earthquake. So I decided to set up my rocks, because I didn't expect him to go for Play Rough or anything. And he went for the Earthquake, which was great. So that's going to do like nothing to my Crocodile. So then I figured he would probably go for the Play Rough right now, so I decided to switch into my Arcanine and get the double Intimidate off. So then he goes for the Play Rough, so it was perfect because it does nothing. And I figured he was going to go for the T-Wave now, so I just went for the Flare Bits to get damage. Because Arcanine doesn't have as much to use because the Scissor isn't going to be here. And I actually get the crit and burn, so I'm pretty much scum. And of course he T-Waves me, but that's all the Granbull's going to end up doing. Yeah, Leftovers isn't going to save it. He's going to go down to burn. So that's one Mon my team's able to take care of relatively quick. So he goes out into Hydreigon. And I figured he would just U-turn on my Arcanine, because he probably figured I'd switch out. So I thought this was a perfect time. I just go for Morning Sun. Arcanine gets healed up. He's good as new, instead of being paralyzed. So he's going to U-turn into his Vaporeon. And I thought, this is great. I'll just Morning Sun up. Do a little bit of rocks damage. Nope, fully paralyzed. Hacks for hacks. So then I decided to switch out. I believe I go into my Tentacruel. Yes. So Scald isn't going to do anything to me. And I believe I start setting up Toxic Spikes after this. Because in my head I was thinking Donphan is going to be his hazard removal. And just even if I poison it, that'll break sturdy and all that. So I set up one later T-Spikes. And I believe I want to set up another layer. No, knock off first, because Leftovers recovery is useful to get off of Vaporeon, otherwise it'll just sit there and protect. And that's 2 Scalds without burn. So at this point I was thinking it's pretty lucky. I get my second layer spikes off. Here comes another Scald. Not very effective, still no burn. This is like unheard of. So now I decide to switch out. I switch into my Electros, which is Assault Vest, so it should be able to take this. He goes for another Scald. He says you get the burn. Nope. So he does get the Toxic off though. So my Electros is going to be on the timer. And I decide to go for a Discharge. Do I get the Para? Nope. Do not get the Para. So then he withdraws his Vaporeon and goes into his Hydreigon. And I go for Discharge again, hoping to get the Para on this. Do I get the Para though? Of course not. So I'm running down a little bit. I'm AV, so I expect to take anything. So he goes for a Dark Pulse. I think this is great. All I have to do is click U-turn, and I can take out this Hydreigon if I don't flinch, but I flinch. And that's all for my Electros. It did a little bit, I guess. So now I go into Sylveon. Obviously he doesn't want to stay in against this. So he's going to U-turn out. And he's going to U-turn out. Well, he gets the crit there. He's going to U-turn out into his Crobat. And expecting that, I just went for another Reflect. Once again, I'm still expecting Donphan to be his hazard removal. So I think, okay, this can't do anything. I'll just go for a safe Hyper Voice, but he's Defog. So at this point I realize, hey, maybe this Donphan is going to be something else. And gets rid of all that. I go for Hyper Voice. Luckily, I get a crit though. But I don't want to stay in against this Crobat with my Sylveon, knowing he's Defog and all that. So I go out into my Crocodile, get the Intimidate off. He goes for the Cross Poison, and this does like literally 0. And no poison. He gets the Black Sludge Recovery off. And here I was thinking, do I go for Pursuit? Or do I go for Knockoff? He goes for the U-turn. I figured it was a pretty safe knock. So I decided to go for Knockoff, and he goes out into his Victini. So this Victini is done for. No way he's living this. And then I find out he is actually Assault Vest, which was weird at the time, but now I realize it's probably for he's expecting Latias. He goes out in Crobat. I decided to switch out into my Arcanine because it is pretty much useless. It's not outspeeding anything. But it does get the Intimidate off. So he goes for the Brave Bird. He's going to knock down my Arcanine real low. And he's going to get a little bit of recovery. And Arcanine is just going to be fire. So my Arcanine fades, and then I decide to go into the Crocodile and get another Intimidate, so that's a double Intimidate on him. He's not going to be able to do anything. And he goes for the U-turn. And do I go for Pursuit? Nope. Decide that's another safe knock. So I knock off the Vaporeon, even though its item is already gone. Does a little bit of damage. My HP. I decide to go for the Earthquake and just take out the Vaporeon. Then he decides to go out into his Crobat, probably thinking he can take out my Crocodile now without the Intimidate. Goes for a Brave Bird. And it does a good amount of damage, but not enough because I'm actually fully physically defensive. That's how I go for a knockoff, and that's going to be all for the Crobat. Knock off its Black Sludge. Then he decides to go out into his Donphan, which hasn't seen the field yet. So I decide to go for a knockoff, because regardless of what this is, I want to knock its item off. It's Expert Belt. And then he goes for Rock Polish. And at this point, I was terrified. This was scary. So then I decide to go for the EQ, hoping I can live this and actually live on 5. I go for the EQ, get some good damage off, and Crocodile is not going to live this next hit. So Crocodile, he put in work though, he took out 3 mons. So Crocodile gets taken out. And then I go into my win con, which is actually my Mismagius, my Focus Sash Mismagius. And he goes for Earthquake. I don't know if he didn't know about Levitate or he just didn't have anything for it. I go for the Shadow Ball. And Donphan has like no special defense. I take out the Donphan. And then he goes out into his Hydreigon, which I outspeed. And I go for the Dazzling Beam, and that is going to be it for the match. So we win the match 3-0. And it's a great way to start off the season. And so yeah, next week I'm going to be facing against Drew in the Oakland Typhlosions. So maybe I'll do a post-con for that too. I'm not exactly sure yet. Anyway, thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed.